Hey everyone, my name is Gathers and welcome to Mycorrhiza. I think that's how you pronounce the game. Anyway, this game is a horror, manga, visual novel type of game. If you want to play it for yourself, the link will be in the description down below. So without any further ado, let's just start. It says click on the door to start. Let's do the middle one. Okay, I guess. This is so cool. I haven't read manga in so long, probably been years. So Act 1, Pets. So I'm so excited for the game. Oh, this game is a demo, by the way. My eyes were burning. It felt like hot coals were lying on my eyelids. I slowly opened them and attempted to heave myself up from the cold asphalt, but I failed. My whole body was heavy and my head felt like it was being squashed by a hydraulic press. After a few attempts, I finally succeeded and tried to make out where I was. The fog in my mind lifted slowly and I realized that I was in a dark alleyway. My vision was still blurry and I had trouble keeping my eyes open, but I could tell that I have never seen this place before. Slowly my heart began to race. Was I abducted? Mugged? What had happened to me? I hesitantly checked my body, fortunately finding no wound. Why was I feeling this weak then? Maybe I was drugged. As I tried to recall what might have happened to me, my eyes finally focused and I could see the house in front of me. In fact, it was only the house on the street with the light on. The dirty yellow glow shone through every single visible window. I felt some relief knowing the tenants were awake. Perhaps they could tell me where I was. I wouldn't mind some warmth either. I approached the front door. It took me some searching to find the doorbell through the overgrown ivy. A deep gong rang out from within the house when I pressed it. The sound, amplified by the cold wind cutting through my shirt, made me tense up. What an odd choice for a doorbell sound. I thought while rubbing my upper arms to warm myself. I waited. No one answered. My mind twisted in confusion. Why was no one coming? I rang the doorbell again. Then I tried knocking. No response. No one was coming. I didn't understand. Did they forget to turn off the lights and go on vacation or something? At the last resort, I tried turning the knob and it actually opened. This worried me. Did something happen to the family living here? Perhaps I should find a phone and call the police. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the street. My heart started to pound as my body tensed up. I wanted to dash into the house, but my feet refused to move. What was that sound? Was somebody out there? Pictures of elderly monsters and armed kidnappers popped into my mind as my eyes scanned the darkness. The world was silent once more. I was still on edge, but my body slowly started to relax as I regained my composure. I decided I didn't want to find out what was that. Cautiously, I stepped through the threshold and firmly closed the door behind me. I felt an immediate lurch of guilt since I was trespassing into a stranger home, but rather than face police questioning than wandering around in a strange neighborhood in the middle of the night. Well, our name is Hot. Hello, is anyone here? No answer, but the house was eerily quiet. I cautiously ventured down the front hall. Perhaps I could find a telephone. I stopped in front of one of the doors. A dim yellow light seeped silently through the bottom crack. I turned the knob. Locked. Then the next one. Also locked. They all seemed to be. I frowned. Why were the lights behind these locked doors lit? It gave me an uneasy feeling. The door at the very end of the hall was the only one that I hadn't tried yet. I grasped its handle and turned it slowly. It swung open to completely darkness. Once again my body tensed up while my mind started to conjure horrific images. A beast with dislocated limbs, a crooked teeth creeping towards me from the darkness. A floor littered with corpses and walls stained with blood. A giant spider sitting in a corner, waiting for its chance to strike. My hand shook as I reached to flick on the lights. Uh-oh. It was an utterly ordinary bedroom. My heartbeat slowly calmed down as I realized I seemed to be safe. I felt almost silly getting scared of nothing. A quick search yielded nothing but barren, dusty shelves. The bed was only meaningful objects present. Slowly but surely a wave of fatigue washed over me. The more I looked at the bed, the more tempting it became. With my adrenaline rushing fading away, I found that I was more exhausted than I had realized. Like a worm worming its way into an apple, a single thought slowly appeared in my mind. I had to sleep. That was soon the only thing I could think of as my conscience faded. I had to sleep. The world turned dark and the soft covers of the bed pulled me deeper and deeper into the black abyss. Some people have gotten as little as a couple of hours sleep last couple of nights. Yes, me. Let's hope that this will all be over soon. This is interesting. Oh, I shot awake. It was as if no time had passed. I hardly remembered falling asleep. Feeling a bit better, I decided to take another look around the house. The fact that no one was here, even though the lights were on, was still nagging at the back of my mind. But I was more confident that I would be able to find help now that it was daytime. I left the bedroom to retry the doors just in case. They were still locked. I would have at least liked to take a shower. I smelled my clothes and they had indeed started to smell slightly sour. It would have been nice to access the kitchen as well, although it was doubtful there was much food here given the house was empty save. This place seemed to have nothing left to offer. I would better be out in the streets now that it was day, even if I still missing my wallet. I left the house for the bright sunlight. The back street didn't seem so bad anymore. I found it to be rather cozy and quaint. I made my way down the path until I heard the faint sound of a conversation in a distance. A weight lifted from my heart when I first glimpsed people walking around the pedestrian area. There weren't too many of them though, and as I looked around I got the feeling that it was a rather small town. Trees and flowers were planted at irregular intervals, which gave it more of a rural atmosphere. That's a word, so it didn't matter. I finally asked for help. Excuse me, can you tell me where I am? The woman blinked at my approach. She frowned and scolded me in my general direction. This is Kajimite. Yeah, I'm butchering the names. She looked uncomfortable talking to me. So I thanked her and let her be. Kajimite. I have never heard of a town like that before. How did I end up here? The thought of being somewhere I didn't recognize scared me. How was I supposed to get back home if I didn't have the slightest idea where to go? I took a deep breath to calm myself down. My next best bet would be asking someone to allow me to make a call from their mobile phone. I approached an older man in a business suit. Excuse me, may I use your phone? I'm a bit lost and I would like to call a friend of mine so he can pick me up. His lips curled into a grimacing frown. Sorry, I'm in a bit of a hurry. I approached another person, but even after what felt like several hours, I had no luck. No one wanted to lend an unkept, half-dressed stranger their phone. As I made my way through a side street, I heard two elderly women whispering to each other. I heard of some violent incident recently. Most got away with just a flesh wound, seeing that they were attacked by someone or something. Yeah, I heard that too. I wonder if it has anything to do with pet disappearances. I heard of another cat that hadn't come back in several days. I was so focused on the conversation that I almost ran into a girl. I mumbled an apologies until I realized that she had approached me on purpose. Hi. Hi. You need to call someone, right? She extended her hand and offered me her phone. How did you know? People have been talking about you. We have had some violent crimes here recently. Everyone is a little on edge. Many pets have been getting sick. Some say someone has been poisoning them. She nervously shuffles her feet and glanced away. Thank you, I won't think long. I took the phone and dialed a friend's number, but the call didn't go through. I tried again, but the result was the same. Maybe his phone was turned off? I tried my parents' house phone, then my job's front desk, then my boss' personal cell. Each time the call failed. I was sure that I had the right number. Maybe the phone had a bad connection? It seems like the call won't connect for some reason. Maybe you will have more luck trying a landline. My phone does act up sometimes. You might be right, still thank you a lot. I didn't want to hold her up any longer, so I gave her her phone back and wandered off the rush farewell. Leaving that way may have been a bit rude, but I was too frustrated to care. I just wanted to look for another way to get in contact with someone I knew. It occurred to me that I should have asked her for direction to the police station. I turned to look for her, but she already vanished. As I made my way through the town, I could now definitely feel the tension in the air. The girl was right. Everyone was on edge. While I was passing by an alleyway, something caught my eye. They were too big to be read. I couldn't really make anything out other than their eerie glowy eyes. The fuck is that? Maybe it was a cat gang searching for a trash food. Apropos food, I was starving. But I couldn't possibly just ask random people to feed me since my wallet was missing. I didn't have any money on me to buy something. Though there were utterly tempting looking plants growing nearby. As I stared at them, I felt a pulp. Their strange appearance hypnotized me, and without me noticing, my feet inched closer and closer and closer. Oh, should we eat them or do we not eat them? I feel like they are bad, so let's not eat them. I broke away from the hypnotic pull of the plant. What was I thinking? It didn't matter how hungry I was, they may be poisonous. But my hunger was beginning to gnaw at my insides. My vision grew blurry. Who knew how long? How long has it been since I've eaten? Suddenly I collapsed and the world around me vanished. I heard that another team had some problems with a scientist of theirs who ended up being banned from their research center. So apparently they performed experiments on humans who were... I can almost sympathize with her. It was dark when I awoke. It seemed like no one had bothered to help me. I tried to get up, but I couldn't. My whole body was paralyzed from hunger. Something was shuffling by my ear. I felt the sniffing of an animal, perhaps one of those cats I saw earlier. I couldn't bring myself to look. It lost interest and walked past me towards the plant. I heard more follow. As they padded into the view, I noticed that something was off about them. It must have been my mind playing tricks on me. My hunger was overwhelming. Something about their body was wrong. They started to eat the plants. They were smacking rather loudly and made unnatural fleshy sounds. Every now and then, one would pause and give off a low growl that didn't at all sound like a cat, more like a slightly higher pitched bear growl. After a while, the sound diminished and I felt the presence vanish. I gathered my strength and forced myself to my feet. What had just happened? What were those creatures? The violent crime that I had heard about earlier popped into my mind. My hand began to shake slightly. What would have happened if I hadn't been paralyzed and if they had noticed that I was still alive? Most houses were still lit. I mustn't have been out for long. Once again my body gave up a deep growl. It was as if my stomach was eating itself. I had to get some food or else I was in danger of collapsing again. Being as desperate as I was, I approached the next best house and knocked. I was surprised when the door actually opened. Hi there, come on in. How nice of you to visit. Do we know each other? Before me stood a fashionably dressed woman with a big smile on her face. At first glance she seems welcoming, but her movements were rather stiff and almost mechanical, as if they had been practiced over and over again. She took another more thorough look at me and seemed to realize that we did, in fact, not know each other. You must be a new neighbor then. Please come in. She disappeared before I could correct her. I hesitantly followed her inside. On my way, I saw a food bowl near the entrance with some of the strange-looking plants I had seen earlier in it. She'd been feeding those to her pet? I peeked after the woman into the living room. A man leaped to his feet as he saw me and stretched his big hand out to me. His other arm hung down limply. Apparently he wasn't able to move it. Hi there, it's nice to meet you. How are you doing? I reciprocated his firm handshake and she cheerfully gestured me to take a seat beside him. To my surprise, the girl who had helped me earlier was here as well. She gave me a small wave. It's starting to feel like a festivity. We should have neighborhood get-togethers like these more often. Oh, right, this is... She turned and frowned in my direction while trying to remember a name she hadn't asked me before. What? Scott. I'm Scott. Right, Scott. He moved in nearby recently, I think. So I thought we should invite him in as well. Certainly, it is nice to meet you. No, I'm not really... Alright, food. Give me a second. The woman rushed into the kitchen and came out with a steaming dishes of food. I can make out a different kind of meat, baked potatoes and more. My stomach gave off a deep growl and my mouth began to water. And thought of honestly about my origin was gone. The other visitors started piling food onto their plate and I followed suit. As I devoured it, life came back to my body and let my eyes wander over to the others. Everyone seemed to be rather tense, especially the woman and the man. Their movements were rather stiff. Every now and then they threw glances each other's way, glances that seemed to indicate mistrust. The woman seemed to especially be eyeing the cup that the man was drinking out of. Every now and then, when they noticed each other's look, they put on a fake smile. The girl seems like she hadn't planned to be here in the first place. Was she just dragged into it? Just like I was? As I was cleaning my plate of scraps, something important flashed into my mind. Excuse me, would you mind if I used your phone? The woman says. I'm afraid I don't have one. I never care for those buggers. She looked over to the man. Maybe he can use yours. Of course, I can show you to my house once we are ready to go. I gave up a sigh of relief and thanked the man. He waved his hand in the air. No problem at all. Please excuse me for a moment though. He shuffled out of the room, presumably towards the bathroom. Alright, I will make some more tea. She scooped up the man's cup and left me alone with the girl. I cleared my throat and nodded in her direction. Thank you again for lending me your phone. I did appreciate that. You're welcome. I hope you will have more luck with the landline. Yeah, I hope so too. And I guess that was the end of the conversation. Perhaps she felt uncomfortable speaking to a weird, smelly stranger. I'm going to go wash my dishes. And there she went. The other two were taking quite a while. I used the opportunity to let my eyes wander around the room. The walls were dressed with paintings of all kinds, pictures of nature as well as more abstract drawings. A fancy-looking framed piece of paper and photograph that was standing on the drawer beneath them caught my eye. The former seems to be an art degree, and the latter a picture of the man and the woman when they were younger. They were standing somewhere that could be a university campus. Both had a genuine smile on their face. It seemed like their friendship went back quite a bit. My mouth is getting dry just reading this. Hey. Whoa. There she sneaks behind me. I thought I had a clear view of the kitchen entrance. I think I heard some rumbling coming from downstairs. It would probably be good if you would check it out just in case she hurt herself. She was likely referring to the woman who had invited me in. You did? She's been gone for quite a while now. Maybe something did happen to her. Perhaps I should take a look. I felt her eyes follow me to the basement. Why are we going to the basement? Where's the man? Where is the man? I squinted down the stairs. It was almost pitch black. Are they going to kidnap me? I swallowed back my nerves, carefully crept down the steps. Maybe I should have called out for the moment, but something told me not to. I managed to reach the bottom stairs and peek around the corner. There I saw the woman kneeling by a lamplight in front of a large cage. A basket of the strange plants sat beside her. There, is that right? Take a good sniff of the cup. We need to hurry, okay? I know that he's growing one too. Everyone is. Growing what? Everyone wants to get rid of the competition. We need to hurry. She held the man's cup to the bars. Something in her voice disturbed me. Whatever was going on, I wanted no part of it. I returned to the living room as quietly as I could. There you are. All ready to go? Upon hearing the man's loud voice, I jumped a bit. What I had seen in the basement made me a bit anxious. I took a quick look around and saw the ghost was already gone. Sure, I'm ready. What? Leaving already? I just made some more tea. I turned to see the woman standing in the living room entrance with a put-on smile. Sorry, dear. I'm just not young enough to stay out late like we used to. She put on a playful pout. Oh, you do want me? Come by again. You know you're welcome anytime. We bid our farewells and set out in the cold night. I was glad to leave. What I had seen was still nagging on my mind. The man might be in danger. I had to tell him. I hesitated. How was I supposed to tell him when I myself wasn't sure what I had seen? I collected myself and went for it. To my surprise, he wasn't nearly as upset at the woman as I thought he would be. He actually seemed to be more upset at me. I think you should have not snooped around in somebody's house who invited you over. I was less perplexed. What just happened? I thought I was warning him, but instead I had been scolded like a child. His face relaxed and gave me his unusual smile. It seemed slightly pained this time. I suppose there had been no harm done. Or perhaps he just didn't believe me. I couldn't blame him. I noticed more and more vacant houses as we crept through the town. Some were boarded up, doors had been left wide open. Why are there so many empty houses here? These houses have been vacant for a while now. You need not to worry. I was sure that I passed by here earlier. I didn't notice any abandoned building back then. They couldn't have left so suddenly in just half a day, could they? An uneasy feeling started to fester inside me. Here we are. We stopped before a house that looked much like every other houses in the town. He stepped inside. I hesitated at the entrance before trailing him behind. Come on in, no need to be shy. Do you want something to drink? No thanks. The man hesitantly grumped and led me down the hallway. I only wanted to use the phone and get out. All the weirdness of the day had me on edge. But what if I still couldn't reach anyone? Where would I go? I was balancing a fine line between hope and despair, and the phone call would probably be what would topple me in either direction. Alright, here we are. The phone was one of those old-fashioned ones that had a cord attached to the receiver. At least I had a button instead of a rotary dial. I pick up the receiver and try a number. Am I doing something wrong? There is no dial tone. Huh? Let me see. He took the receiver from my hand and pressed a few buttons. He let out a disappointed sigh. Not again. Damn, those rodents keep getting to my cables. I'll go take a look at it. Feel free to make yourself at home. In case you get thirsty. He fetched a small bottle of soda from the kitchen, gave it to me, and went to the basement. It seemed like I wouldn't be able to leave quite so soon. Once I had a drink in my hand, I did start to get thirsty. I kind of want to look around, but I don't want to stay there and wait. Let's look around. Let's check the pictures. I took a look at the pictures hanging in the wall. There weren't too many, but he seemed to be pretty cheerful in all of them. Especially the one with his dog. For some reason, I hadn't seen it around. Nothing else caught my eyes. Checked the living room. It was only one room over. Surely he wouldn't mind. He said I should feel at home after all. The living room was minimalistic and unimpressive. A TV stood in the corner, gathering dust. His bookshelf was well maintained on the other hand. I looked over the books. He seemed pretty interested in biology. Maybe he was a teacher? Or even a researcher, just like myself. I would love to chat with him about his field sometimes once I get out of this mess. I chose a random book and opened it. I quickly shut it to recheck the title. It seemed like I had pulled out a fantasy book instead of a biology test. Evolutionary Development, a practical study guide. That would be a rather weird name for a fantasy novel, but the description on the page confirmed it being fiction. The page showed drawings of creatures that we've never seen before, accompanied by detailed graphs and diagrams. I guess it could be one of those fake science art pieces that, like what the Voynich manuscript is theorized to be. Yeah, something like that. I returned the book and went back out into the hall. Maybe we should check. Oh no, I should check the study instead. Alright, it's all done. I jumped. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. No, it's fine. Good thing you didn't catch me snooping around. The phone should be working now. Feel free to give it a try. I'll give you some space. Call me when you're done. He took the bottle I had drunk from earlier and left through the hallway. I had an odd sense of deja vu. I shook it off and started dialing some number. They were the same that I already tried on the girl's mobile phone. Once again, they failed to connect. How could that be? I was 100% certain that the numbers were correct. I tried all the numbers of friends, family, even work college I could think of until finally. Yes, hello? It was a woman's voice that I didn't recognize. I was certain that I dialed the number of one of my work colleagues. Excuse me, isn't this Tom's cell phone number? I don't know who that is. Are you another scam caller? Don't call me again. She hung up. Alright, something was definitely wrong here. It might be the best to talk to the man and see if he can help me somehow. Maybe he had a clue as how to get back home. I crept down the hallway. He went this way, right? I began to hear some murmuring. A steady chill went down my back. The sound was coming from the basement. The old floorboards squeaked beneath my toes. I saw flickers of a weak light coming from down the steps. I took them as gently as I could as I held a hand over my mouth to quiet my breath. I reached the bottom and turned a corner. It was just like before. The man knelt before a big cage, a small lamp next to him, and held something up to the bars, hissing to whatever was inside. Yes, you have the scent now, don't you? We must take care of this one tonight. He's curious. He will find the secret much faster than the others. No, we can't have him making something like you, too. Is kill or be killed in this town. What? My stomach dropped out from underneath me as I heard the horrible scraping from inside the cage. I took a step back and bumping into a wall. Before I could react, I had accidentally switched on the main light. Oh no! The sudden thought of white blinded me for a moment. Once my eyes adjusted, the first thing I saw was it! What the fuck? The man was screaming at me, but I could barely think about him. I couldn't look away from that creature. It was cowering inside a dirty cage that seemed to be too small for it. It had features of human, but I could also see some elements that were distinctly like dog-like. Is that his dog? Its mouth was way too big, and the inside of it was filled with a seemingly randomly set of teeth, or at least something that resembled teeth. Worst of all, though, were the enormous eyes staring right back at me. The man fumbled with the lock on the cage. My feet finally began to move. I ran out of the house and into the streets. All the while, one thought was frantically running through my head. I had to get out. I had to get away from this demon-ted town. But this thought clouding my mind, I hadn't realized that I had exited the town already and was now on a big grassy plain. Breathing heavily with a fear flooding in my mind, I had almost not noticed how heavy my legs had become. Soon I was struggling to stay on my feet, and my vision slowly darkened from the exhaustion and panic. Wanted to look back to see how closely the monster was, but I was too afraid of seeing it right behind me. I gathered my courage and quickly glanced behind me, and to my surprise, the thing wasn't following me. I didn't know if it has ever followed me in the first place, but it seems like the man wanted to send it after me to kill me? Realizing that I was safe from now, I stopped. My legs were numb and almost gave in, but I managed to keep standing. I couldn't believe what I had just seen. It couldn't be real. There was no way to explain what I had seen. And every inch of my body repulsed the idea of such a monster existing. But I had seen it with my own two eyes. I continued on at a slower pace this time and soon came to a small but quickly flowing river. It wasn't a good night to get my clothes wet, but it looked small enough for me to jump over with a running start. I wasn't the athletic type, but I managed to leap over the gap. After walking for what felt like hours, I caught a glimpse of a town. It looked quite a bit bigger than the one I had just left. The concrete building looked like a needle from the distance. I wasn't fully sure what I felt at that moment. Part of me was relieved about seeing some civilization and being able to look for help. Another part of me was still in shock over what I had just experienced, but I was too tired to try to make sense of it. So I had pushed myself onward, using the remaining strength that I had left. As soon as going to be over, was what I naively kept mumbling to myself as I dragged myself closer toward the next nightmare. I wonder how long this novel is. Oh, never mind. Right, I was about to say it. This the end of the demo. Nice. That game has been in development for way longer than one would think, and I'm happy to finally be able to share with you. Whether you are a horror manga nerd or I've never read one, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you picked on the dynamic audio implementation as well. Yeah, that was so nice. As someone who's mainly been a composer and a sound designer for visual novels, I made sure to use my expertise in that area to make this game audios a bit more special. You might even notice a change in the title screen theme, now that you have finished the first act. Wink wink. If you would like to help us, yes, you guys can follow it in the description down below. To support the developer. This is so nice. Yeah. I haven't read manga in probably like 10 years now. I miss it so much. I used to watch anime and read manga, but now I don't do it anymore. I've been too busy, but this is so nice with the sound effect and a lot of reading, a little bit of interaction with it. So nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this visual novel, and if you want me to play it when it comes out, please let me know in the comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.